What's up, everybody? This is a special episode of the Dr. Quack podcast. What you're going to see here is a clip from my interview with Tony Atlas. All right. Welcome back to the Dr. Quack podcast. As you can see right in front of you, we have the WWE Hall of Famer himself, Tony Atlas, Mr. USA. Go ahead and flex the guts. Show me the guts. Look at them arms. I'm telling you, he is huge.
Well, I don't know about that. You know, my ego is bigger. I'm a legend in my own man.
He is definitely one of the best. But I wanted to bring you on today because I wanted my viewers to get to know you a little bit better. You know, some of maybe new viewers. So what made you get into the professional wrestling business?
Well, I started my career off, believe it or not, with the police athletic league. They had a boxing program in Roanoke, Virginia, so I got involved with boxing at first. And then when I got to start going to junior high school, I went to Lee Junior High. They came over and they were looking for guys to wrestle on the JV team for Jefferson High School at the time. So I went and joined the junior varsity team. Became got involved in wrestling in the 7th grade. And I kind of liked the wrestling better than I liked the boxing, maybe because I won more bouts in wrestling than I did in boxing. And that led into, you know, we got transferred to Patrick Henry High School, and I continued my wrestling career there. Then I did a little bit of Greco-Roman after high school, and I was at the YMCA one day working out for the Virginia Powerlifting Championship that was going to be held in Hopewell, Virginia during that time. And two wrestlers by the name of Klondike Bill and Sandy Scott came walking in the gym, and they saw me, and people told me that I was a collegiate wrestler. They invited me down to Charlotte, North Carolina to meet his brother George Scott, who was the booker at that time, and the rest is history.
Yep. So you broke into the business. Who was your first match against?
My first match was in Anderson, South Carolina, and it was me and Bob Breggers. Bob Breger was a former professional football player, and he was in the plane accident with Ric Flair and the Crockett. And he got, and Johnny Valentine, when they're playing with that in Wilmington, North Carolina, Bob Breger was in the plane with them, and he never came back because his injury was so severe. And it was against Art Nelson, me and Bob Breger against Art Nelson and the Blue Scorpion. Now, who the Blue Scorpion was, I don't know. He was a Puerto Rican guy, but he wore a mask, so they called him the Blue Scorpion. So that was my very first match. My first tag team partner was Bob Breger, and the rest against a guy called Art Nelson and the Blue Scorpion.
And that was back when? When was your first match?
The mid-70s, I would say around 74, 73, 74, to be exact. Somewhere in between that.
Right, that was around the time when you were working with Vince Sr. and Vince Jr.?
No. Jimmy Crockett. I broke into Mid-Atlantic Championship.
Mid-Atlantic, okay.
Yeah. WWF came probably about 8 or 10 years later. And that's why I was so successful in the WWF during that time, because before I went with Vince Sr., I also wrestled with Jim Barnett with Georgia Championship Wrestling. At that time, it was the first cable wrestling show, and it went into 48 different states. So when I went to Minneapolis and worked for AWA, they knew who I were. When I went to WWF, they knew who I were. So if I could say anybody built Tony Atlas, it was Georgia Championship Wrestling, and a lot of top names came there just to be on the TV. Terry Funk, Harley Race, Dusty Rhodes, everybody came. They wanted to be on that TV because it went into 48 different states. The only states it did not go into during that time was Alaska and Hawaii.
Wow.
They were the only states that TBS, and this was before CNN. So Georgia Championship Wrestling, it used to be Georgia Championship Wrestling and old movies. And the only time the TV came on in color was when Georgia Championship Wrestling came on. So it was the only program that was on during that time, around 75, in mid-70s, that was in color. Everything else was black and white, because Turner bought all these old classic movies. They were called it Turner Classic Movies.
Yes, TMC.
Yeah, he bought the rights to all these Charlie Chaplin movies and and Lucy Ball and all the old movies. And he still showed a lot of movies. I still enjoy watching them. Randolph Scott was always my favorite actor though, and John Wayne #2.
John Wayne, the Duke. Yeah. So I got a few more like word association. Just want to get your thoughts on some here. First off, Vince Sr. What was it like working with him?
Vince Sr. was a very forgiving person. If you make a mistake, he was able to overlook it and move on, which is different than his son. You make a mistake with his son, he's not as forgiving as his father was, and he got his reason for it because a lot of guys took advantage of the father in some ways. In fact, I was one of the guys that done that. I walked out on him, went to LA, partied with a girl for about 2-3 weeks, and then Vince took me back and put me right back, put the belt on me and Rocket after I, left. Just took a vacation on my own, And he did that with a lot of guys, but with Vince Jr., he was determined not to allow the wrestler to do to him what they did to his father. So he justified in what he do. I know a lot of guys talk bad of him, but if you put asses in the seat, you keep your mouth shut and do as you're told, and don't be late and don't, cause any problem for Vince or his company, then you can make what Undertaker and John Cena and Mark Henry is prime example of you can have very longevity with Vince Jr. But you can't screw up. That's the only problem. You screw up once, you're gone.
And a lot of people are attributing that today's to R-Truth pretty much being the man that would do whatever it took that Vince said to go do it, and making the 24/7 title really what it is.
Exactly, and not just R-Truth. If you look at Mark Henry, he had a longer career than R-Truth.
Yes.
He did things that most big guys his size would not have done. Like letting the hog swallow pin him, like I saw the Big Show let Stone Cold stun him. Andre the Giant, if you had asked Andre to let Stone Cold do that, he would pick up Stone Cold and throw him 6 rows into the back of there. So it was a different mentality now. The guys are more professional than what we were. They're more business orientated than what we were. We were party hounds. We were like outlaws. We were wild, and the promoter loved us being wild and crazy because people wanted to see somebody wild and crazy. The blood, like King Kong, Bruiser Brody, and Abdul the Butcher. People love all the wildness. But then the world changed, and now a lot of stuff we did in the 70s, you would end up in court for today. So there's a lot changed. So Vince had to. He's corporate now, and if you notice, every time something happened with one of the wrestlers that he affiliated with, like right now, I wear a WWE Hall of Fame ring. If I should get busted for drugs or anything, this is how it would say: WWE Hall of Famer Tony Atlas. In fact, I'd be the least part of that statement, but WWE would be huge. Look at Ric Flair a couple of years ago, got in an argument road rage. But because he was a WWE Hall of Famer, they drug Vince into it. And that's how companies are now. They go for whoever got the deepest pocket. So when Hulk Hogan, who is not racist, he's one of my best friends. When Hulk Hogan used the N-word, everybody jumped on it. But he was around rappers that use it every day. So I tell all people of color, if you don't want someone to use the N-word, then don't use it yourself. Because to me, that reverse discrimination. Whenever you tell one race they can't do something simply for the color of their skin, that's racism. So all the people that went against Hulk Hogan from using N-word, they being racist. Because they use it. It's like me going to a counter in the 60s and all the white people could sit at the counter and eat, and I can't sit there just because of the color of my skin. They would call that racism. So I figure racism is also when you could say something and tell me I can't say it because of the color of my skin. Hogan would judge not by what he said, he would judge by the color of his skin. If he was black, let me say it. Chris Rock used it all the time. I hear rap songs, they use it all day long in rap songs. But because Hogan is white, he can't say it. But he's one of my best friends, love him to death.